We'll be reading Revelation 21, verse 8. But the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexual immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Do you have a clicker? All right, it's good to be back with you this afternoon. I'm glad to see that we have most of the same people sitting in the same spot, so that's pretty cool. We're going to give you a presentation of our work this afternoon with our time together. The work that we're doing is not your traditional mission work. It is a mission work, foreign mission work, but we're not located in another country. We live over in Woodstock, Georgia. We live in the parsonage there. The congregation provides us with housing and provides us with an office, but we're still missionaries responsible for raising support. But we do all of our work from there, mostly. And we do that because we're able to do that because we have online tools that allow us to do that. We don't have to go everywhere to preach the gospel physically. We can go online and we can use the tools available to us to be able to get the gospel out to the world. And that's the essence of what we do. We do short-term trips occasionally, whenever we can. But the gist of it is that it's an online mission work to take the gospel to the whole entire world. The name of the work right now, the main website is Logos Answers. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We raise support and we go around to different congregations and tell them about the work, but we want to tell you how thankful that we are to you for the support you've given us over the years. And that started with our time at Bear Valley Bible Institute. And I was trying to remember, I'm pretty sure that Cumming was the first church to tell us that they were going to support us when we're still working at UPS and didn't know if we made the right decision or not and what kind of craziness are we getting ourselves into. Cumming was the first congregation to say, yes, we'll support you for your time at Bear Valley. And that just means a lot to us and empowered us to go on forward with this journey. So we have much thanks to give to you and wanted to let you know the participation that you have in sharing the gospel and fulfilling the Great Commission is not something that you're necessarily going to have to go physically to each of these countries and go into the whole entire world on your own. But by supporting works like ours, you are participating personally in the Great Commission, and we want to thank you for that. Wanted to introduce the team, especially since I threw my wife under the bus a couple times today. In the earlier lessons, I have to make sure to build her up. She is the engine that keeps the family going. She has way more energy and responsibilities than I have, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this without her. She's a stay-at-home mom, full-time. She raises the kids, and just it's been impressive to watch her grow over the past couple of years since we left secular work and went to Bear Valley Bible Institute. She does really deep Bible studies on her own, where she's just past couple months she's been digging into the Gospel of John, and she's doing a study with another Christian lady in Denver, and she'll print out one chapter at a time of the Gospel of John, and she'll just take notes, and that piece of paper will be filled with observations from the text, and she'll get on the phone with her friend, and they'll study the Gospel of John together, and they're now doing that with the book of Romans. She just has a student's heart in trying to dig into the Word, and I'm really excited to see her as she starts to become more comfortable teaching other ladies. She's going to do an excellent job. I'm trying to convince her to do more of that, but she's so busy with the kids. But she's going to be an extraordinary teacher with other ladies in the congregation once she can do that. And in the mission field, you hear a lot about men going over on trips, and we're sending men a lot of times over. And sometimes you have located families, but most of the times we're just sending men. But we forget that the ladies in these countries need encouragement too, that the men can't always give to them. And when I can take Alexis over with me, and she can teach and she can counsel other ladies, it makes a world of difference in helping to spread the gospel and build up the church. So she does a lot for us in helping this work to go on, and very proud of our kids. We also have a global team, believe it or not, of volunteers throughout the world that are helping us in this mission effort. We have people in Ireland, we have people in Israel, in India, Cambodia, Philippines, all over the world are contributing to this mission effort. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about people who have volunteered their time to perform some service in helping us to create lessons, or to translate lessons, or to pretty them up in some way, or to promote them online. Many people have volunteered their time to be able to help in this effort, and we're grateful for all the supporters that help us financially, but also for those who have volunteered in making these efforts possible. We read in the Great Commission in Mark's account, "Go into all the world and proclaim the gospel to all creation." And we've heard this many times, and we've seen it many times, and we understand it. But let's think about one aspect of this that we maybe haven't thought about in a while. Jesus said, "Go into all the world." When you look into the original language in this, it's a special word for all. It's not your typical all word. It's a very emphatic word for all. So Jesus is making a special point to say, go into all, underline it, all the world. And then he says, preach the gospel to the whole creation. Why does he say, preach the gospel to all creation? Does he want us to preach to trees and to rocks? Sounds like a kind of funny thing to say. He's saying that because he's being very emphatic. He was telling his disciples they needed to go absolutely everywhere and preach the gospel to absolutely everybody. That is how important the Great Commission it is. It is for the whole entire world. It's not just for us here in America. It's not just for the major languages like Spanish and English and Chinese. It is for everybody throughout the whole entire world. How can we do that in a place like India, for example? India has, as I mentioned this morning, 1.4 billion people. They have, I think, 8 major languages, not including English. Hindi is the official language, but you can go from one state to another, just cross over a border, and all of a sudden people don't really speak the other language. They don't really speak English or Hindi. You have to speak that native language. So it's very difficult, even for preachers that are native Indian born, necessarily to go across borders and to preach to other people. The other problem that we have in India is there's 1.1 billion Hindus, and it's illegal to evangelize to them. We cannot go preach to Hindus. We cannot go convert them to Christianity. Some states could be executed for doing that. In some places it just may be a slap on the wrist, but it's something that a missionary from America definitely couldn't do. If they knew I was over there preaching the gospel to Hindus, they would not allow me back into the country. It's taken very seriously. Christians within India have difficulty evangelizing to their Hindu neighbors and friends because not just because of the pressure in preaching the gospel to someone who doesn't know it, but also because it is illegal. So how do we go into a place like India and preach the gospel to absolutely everybody? Do we just forget about these Hindus, these people that speak other languages? Do we just ignore them? How about a place like Mongolia or China? In these countries, Christianity is also in the minority. Most people are atheist or Buddhist. And in these countries, you can't find a church building. If you look for a place to go to church, you couldn't find one. They would be nearly impossible to find. If you're looking for someone to ask a question about the Bible, you couldn't find someone. If you went online and tried to find answers about the Bible, you would have trouble finding answers about the Bible in Chinese or in Mongolian or in some of these other languages. So how do we go and preach the gospel? We work with missionaries in China, and it's very difficult. They evangelize one soul at a time, which is important. It's good work. But since they have to be very discreet and not draw the attention of the government, they start off being very subtle, and they can only work with one, maybe two souls at a time to try to preach the gospel, and they worship in a small house church, which is really just their apartment. How do you go preaching the gospel to all creation in this kind of setting? We think a lot about it from our perspective. Maybe when you decided that you wanted to search for the truth, maybe you were raised in the church, but for me and my wife, we weren't. We weren't raised in a Christian household. We had to go search the truth on our own. But we think about all the resources that we had available to us. We could walk into church buildings. When I was in college, I worshiped in a Baptist church, in a Methodist church, in a Catholic church. I've done all of them until I finally came across the Church of Christ. I had a Bible in the house when I was growing up. I could read that. And we could search for answers online in English. All of that was available to us and to you as your resources when you're searching the truth. But put yourselves in the shoes of someone that lives in Mongolia or China, and you don't have church buildings to walk into. You didn't grow up with a Bible in your house. You can't even go online, really, and find the truth. What are you going to do? We need to have resources that are going to reach out to those people. After Jesus gave the Great Commission to the apostles, a few days later, on the day of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit was outpoured on them in a miraculous way, and they began to speak in other tongues, Acts chapter 2. And the people said, how can this be? This is extraordinary. How can we hear them in our own language to which we were born? That is the immediate fulfillment we notice of Jesus' Great Commission, is that the disciples were empowered by the Holy Spirit and they were preaching the gospel in other people's native language to which they were born. Why not Greek or Latin or Aramaic? These were the lingua franca of the time. Most everyone could speak some Greek or Latin. It was like the English of the time. Why not speak the gospel in those languages? That wasn't God's desire. He desired the gospel to be preached in other people's native language, not just in the majority languages. I have some statistics in our packet about languages of the world, and it's been a while since I've looked at it, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. But 10% of the world speaks two languages, English and Spanish, as their primary language, as the language they were born into. And then something like 60 languages for the next 40% of the population. So out of 8 billion people, about 4 billion speak 60 languages as their native language. However, the rest of the population, 4 billion people, speak 7,000 languages as their native language. How could you imagine us being able to go out in the world without the miraculous gifts of the Holy Spirit and being able to preach the gospel in 7,000 different languages? How could you imagine that being done today? I know that we don't have the resources to be able to send individuals to each of those 7,000 places and learn those languages. So how can we do that today? The answer is by using technology, by using the internet. That is the only way we're going to be able to reach every 7,001 of those languages today is through phones, through the internet, through digital tools. People have asked, since I've been here, what is the idea of your work? This is it. It's to be able to make the gospel available to people online. It's very simple. There are many different tools and platforms we can use to do that, but the idea is that we're going to make the gospel available online. When I went to India, and I had read some statistics on this, during COVID when we weren't traveling much. Well, before COVID, when I was traveling in different places, I noticed a lot of people had smartphones. And when I was in marketing at UPS, we knew all the statistics of how many people had smartphones in different countries. And it was astounding how in poorer countries, everyone, a lot of people were having smartphones. But even since then, after COVID, nearly 100% of people in the world have smart devices. When we went to India, I saw it firsthand. Everybody had a smartphone. I'm not exaggerating. Even in poor villages, people had smartphones. Even the young teenage kids, they all had smartphones. You're thinking, I wouldn't even let my teenage kid have a smartphone. But they all have smartphones. They don't have televisions. They don't necessarily have good paying jobs, but everyone has a smartphone and they're connected to the internet. It's also interesting, they all have phone cases with the Apple symbol on it. And I thought everyone had an iPhone. Man, they're really rolling in it. But no, they have these cheaper smartphones, but they put the Apple cases on them to make you think they've got a nicer phone. But they still all have smartphones. I talked to my missionary friends in Cambodia, very poor country, one of the poorest. And he says he'll go deep in the jungles of Cambodia and everybody will have a smartphone. In Vietnam, same thing. Most people have smartphones. China, most people have smartphones. So this is the way that we can reach practically anybody today. Now, I'm sure there are some places where that's not the case. But in most of the world, people will have smartphones. Younger people especially will have smartphones and they'll know how to use it. When you want to go learn something nowadays, where do you go learn it? My kids have been trying to write a research paper on France recently, and they try to go to the library and they don't know how to be able to look up information in the library. They don't even make books available, nowadays in the library, where you can do good research in a public library. Where do they have to go? They have to go on the internet. If we want to learn, I wanted to learn a little bit about World War I the other day, a couple months ago. I went on YouTube and I watched a 15-minute video about World War I. If you want to learn how to change your brake pads, where do you go? You're going to go on YouTube and learn how to change your brake pads. If you want to learn how to make apple pie, you're going to go on YouTube and watch a video on how to do that. That's where people are going to learn new things. And that's not just true here, that's true everywhere in the world. People are going to go online searching for answers. If you have questions in Mongolia or China and you're looking for answers about spiritual things, what are you going to do? You're going to go online. And you only speak Mongolian. What are you going to type into your phone? You can't type in English, does God exist? Because you can't read it. You can't understand English. You're going to type it in your native language, does God exist? You'll go to Google. What are you going to find? In a lot of languages, they would find nothing. In Mongolian, they would find practically nothing. In China, there is a lot of denominational content in Chinese that you can find. Very, very little is within the Churches of Christ is produced in Chinese. Within the Churches of Christ, we have a lot of great publications and works out there, Truth for the World, Truth for Today, Apologetics Press, Fishers of Men, World Video Bible School, World Bible School. A lot of these are great works. And they're translating, some of these programs will translate into other languages. World Video Bible School translated, initially, I remember the first time they translated some of their material into Spanish. And I think recently they've started producing some content in Chinese. These are the majority languages. And this is, someone who's worked in marketing for a global company, that's the approach. You're going to translate in the majority languages because that's most economical. We want to start this with the assumption that we can translate into any and every language possible. That is our idea, is we're going to make these videos available. And in fact, we'll start not with the languages that already have plenty of Christian content. We're starting with languages that don't have any Christian content available online, like Mongolian, like Arabic, like Khmer. So a digital mission work like this, like what we're doing, is something that's going to can be available to anyone in the world 24/7. So anyone that is searching for the truth, the goal is that they're able to search for the truth in their own native language and be able to find answers in their own native language anytime that they're looking. And then the goal is to be able to connect them with local Christians. We want people not to just read some content online or watch a video online and they think they're good. That's a lot of what the denominational content that is out there. That's what they'll do is they'll stop and say, you say the sinner's prayer and you're good. But we want to get people to the point where they're studying and they come to a knowledge of God, but they're also connected with a local church. So that's the other part of our work, is how can we connect people that are out there in some of these countries and they're studying the gospel online, but we don't want to stop there. We want to connect them with a local church where they can go and get baptized, where they can go and become part of the fellowship there. Some countries and places that's a lot trickier than in other places. But that's the goal. And think of this as a tool, or the work that we're doing, and we're all doing it together, is a tool for the missionaries and the preachers in these local countries. We don't want to replace the work of the local church. We want to give them tools and content where they can do their part in spreading the gospel. And as we've kind of explained this to people, on my latest trip in India, we explained to them what they're doing. They love the idea. They absolutely love it because they know they don't have anything available online in Telugu. They know they're having trouble reaching out to their Hindu neighbors and friends. If there's Telugu content available, just simple messages about who Jesus is and what his mission was, and apologetics on the Creator and on different things, they can share that with their Hindu friends who all have smartphones, and they can see the gospel and hear the gospel for the first time, whereas they never would have walked into a church building, they never would have entertained a conversation personally, but they can, in the privacy of their own home, they can watch these videos. And hopefully over time, with videos and content like that, you're starting to build faith in these people, and then they're going to become connected with local Christians. It's a tool for them. It empowers them to be able to spread the gospel, and people in these countries really appreciate it. This is the website. LogosAnswers.org is our main website. And I'm just going to show you, it's a very simple website. Very basic stuff. You can just do 3 things on this website. You can ask a question, you can read articles, and you can watch videos. See, it's very simple, right? Not many things that you can do here, not many options. First, we want people to be able to ask a question. So if you are in a country where you don't have a lot of gospel content available, you've perused the website maybe, and your question is not being answered, we want you to be able to submit a question. You can submit a question anonymously. You could go to logosanswers.org, and if you have friends that you're talking with or evangelizing to, you can send them the link and say, hey, submit your question. And you can submit a question anonymously or give us your email and we'll respond. But we're going to write a response, a Bible response to your question. The second thing we do is we post articles. And again, all this, I'm just talking about the English right now. We're posting articles that answer basic questions for non-believers, people that don't know Jesus, don't know God. We have articles like, was Jesus a real historical person? Very basic. Or is the Bible the Word of God? These kind of questions that people that don't know or have familiarity with the Bible are going to get some answers to. The third thing is you can watch videos. And videos are the most engaging form of content. For every video, I would get 20 times the number of views at least on a video than I would on an article. People are just a lot more engaging with videos. Videos are more time-consuming to produce and more difficult to produce than an article, but you also get a lot more engagement. So I'm going to show you a demo video, and just the background story on this was Derek Brown. Some of you know him. He's working for Asian Christian University, ACU, not Abilene Christian University, Asian Christian University. He's in the Philippines right now, and on Tuesday he's going to give a presentation. They have a digital seminar for all the preachers. And in his presentation, he's asked for some consultation on how to use digital tools to evangelize, and I've provided some feedback on that. But also, he wanted to promote our work to all the Filipino preachers. Tagalog is the main language of the Philippines. And I didn't have a website up in Tagalog yet. I didn't have any content in Tagalog. But when he asked for this and he said he wanted to demo our work, I really quickly got to work. I translated our whole website into Tagalog, and now you can go to logosanswers.org/TL and see the Tagalog website. But this is the video, and it'll give you an idea of what our format is and what the idea is.
Everyone is searching for something. It may be peace and security. It might be love. It may be fame and fortune. The word search implies there is effort involved in reaching one's goals. Effort involved in reaching one's goals.
Na mayroong pagsisikap na kaakibat sa pag-abot sa mga layunin. Ano man ang ating paghahanap, ito ay hindi may hahambing sa paghahanap ng mga pantas noong panahon ni Jesus. Sinabi ng Biblia sa Mateo 2, pagkatapos ipanganak si Jesus sa Bethlehem ng Judea, noong mga araw ni Haring Herodes, dumating sa Jerusalem ang mga pantas mula sa silangan na nagsasabi, nasaan ang ipinanganak na hari ng mga Hudyo? Sapagkat nakita namin ang kanyang bituin sa pagsikat nito at naparito kami upang sambahin siya. Ang mga pantas ay kilala sa kanilang talino at pangunawa. Madalas silang mayayaman dahil sa mga desisyong ginawa nila. Halimbawa, si Nebukadnezar, ang dakilang hari ng Babylonia, ay nangako ng mga dakilang gantimpala sa matanong tao na makapagbibigay kahulugan sa kanyang panaginip. Gaano man kakilala ang mga taong ito o ang malaking kayamanan na taglay nila, naglakbay pa rin sila ng halos 1,000 milya upang hanapin si Jesus. Ang paglalakbay sa ganoong kalayuan noong panahon ng Biblia ay nangangailangan ng maraming oras at pera. Ngunit ang nais nilang parangalan ay ang hari ng mga Hudyo.
In the case of the wise men of Jesus' day, they saw a star. Notice they said, "We saw his star at its rising and have come to worship him." How did they come to believe that a star would start them on their search for Jesus? The Jews had been taken into captivity in the east by the Babylonians, and they lived there 70 years. During that time, they intermingled with the people of the east. No doubt, some of the people of the east learned something about the religion of the Jews. They may have learned about a star from the book of Numbers. In the record of the events concerning Balaam, these words are found. I see him, but not now. I perceive him, but not near. A star will come from Jacob, and a scepter will arise from Israel. A scepter is a sign of a king. Maybe this passage caused these wise men to search for Jesus. Something must happen to cause each person to search for Jesus. It might be, as in my case, a godly mother who taught me about Jesus when I was a young child. That got me started on my search for Jesus.
Mukhang karamihan sa mga tao ay naniniwala na pinangunahan ng bituin ang mga pantas kay Jesus. Hindi po. Nakita lang nila ang kanyang bituin sa silangan. At dahil ito ay bituin ng isang hari ng Israel, dumating sila sa kabisera ng mga Hudyo, ang Jerusalem. Kung pinangunahan sila ng bituin, dadalhin sila nito sa maling lugar. Hindi siya ipinanganak sa Jerusalem, kundi sa Bethlehem. Nang makarating sila sa Jerusalem, ay nagtanong sila, nasaan ang ipinanganak na hari ng mga Hudyo? Tinipon ni Herodes ang lahat ng mga punong saserdote at mga eskriba at tinanong sila kung saan ipanganganak ang Mesiyas. Sa Bethlehem ng Judea, ang sabi nila sa kanya, sapagkat ito ang isinulat ng propeta. Ang kanilang pag-aanap kay Jesus ay sinagot sa kasulatan. Kung ano ang totoo noon, ay totoo ngayon. Walang makakahanap kay Jesus sa anumang lugar o pangyayari maliban sa Biblia. Sinasabi ng mga tao na natagpuan nila si Jesus sa isang karanasan o nakikita siya sa isang ulap o iba pang mga lugar. Matatagpuan lamang natin si Jesus sa pamamagitan ng pagsaliksik sa kasulatan.
Remember also that you can only find Jesus by searching the scriptures. Be always listening to what God has to say to you through his word.
Okay, so hopefully from that you can see the concept. And it's a long video, but I wanted to show you that everything is customizable. Everything was translated, and everything is customizable to the person speaking, the language, the subtitles, the artwork. Everything can be customizable. That's important because a lot of times people will make content, and I'm not just talking about it in the church, but even just broadly for public companies. They'll make content, but they'll leave a white man on the video. He's still speaking English, but it's overdubbed into another language, right? Well, that's probably okay. That's a cheap way of doing things. But would you watch something? Do you enjoy watching things that are overdubbed in other languages? No, that's painful for us to watch sometimes. The idea with this is everything is going to completely be customizable. So if you're viewing this in another country, as far as you know, this was produced by your people. It was produced by people that speak your language. And, for example, we're producing the Arabic content right now. And the guy I'm working with said, Scott, there are too many girls in that video. For an Arabic-speaking audience, they can't have a lot of females in the content. So that's fine. We're going to change the images to accommodate that culture. And we can do that really easily. We've completed our first translation in Tagalog. That website is up. We have that website in Tagalog. We have a Tagalog dedicated Facebook page and a dedicated YouTube channel. And so we'll do that in every single language. And as soon as I got this posted, I had a dozen or so friends from Philippines that I've worked with over the years. I went and blasted all of them. They started sharing it with their friends, and we started getting all these likes and views on our Facebook page in Tagalog, in their native language. Translations are currently underway in Arabic, Mongolian, Telugu, and Khmer. Khmer is the language of Cambodia. Telugu is I told people at lunch, the fastest growing language in America today is Telugu. Has been for the past 5 years, the fastest growing language. We're going to have a site up soon in Telugu. Arabic and Mongolian and Khmer are very close to being finished. Hopefully within a couple of weeks, we'll have 3 more websites up in those languages with the videos and the articles all translated. Think about what you're helping us to do. Just take one of those languages like Arabic. You know the situation in Arabic-speaking countries. You know that it's illegal to preach the gospel in Arabic-speaking countries, except with maybe one exception, Lebanon. But you can't just go preach the gospel in these countries. The church is practically non-existent in Arabic-speaking countries. We don't have a lot of content available online in Arabic. And the content we do have available in Arabic is not necessarily engaging or professional or culturally tailored. But by what you're helping us to do is we will have a website up in a couple weeks that is fully Arabic. Anyone viewing it from an Arabic-speaking country will believe it was made by an Arab. They will have no idea it was made by an American. We will hopefully, through this work, start to establish connections with local preachers so that if you're in Egypt, for example, and you come across our content, you want to learn more about Jesus, you want to ask a question, hopefully we're going to develop those contacts to be able to funnel you to speak with other Christians in your area. It's hard in these Arabic-speaking countries to do that. That's a giant task. One that I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know yet. But we're going to start by getting the gospel out there in Arabic. And we need your continued help to do this work to make sure that truth seekers get the truth and they're connected with local Christians as much as possible. That is the exciting work that you're helping us to do. The other translations that we have available, we're going to have available soon this year is Kannada, is a language in India, Hindi, which is the official language of India, and Chinese. We hope to travel to Cambodia, or me personally hope to travel to Cambodia in in the fall and sometime. And Cambodian, the Khmer language really is exciting to them. I've gotten really good feedback from the Cambodian preachers who have helped translate this and have distributed it some. They're very excited because they don't have any online content in their native language to be able to share with their neighbors. So they're really excited. We've got a lot of good feedback. So I want to go to Cambodia. By then we'll have the website up, and I'll be working with local preachers to share with them our website, get feedback on new content. I did that when I was in India. I was at a preacher's meeting, and I got about 20 teenage boys. Were all around me, and we showed them the website. They all went and subscribed to the English YouTube channel. We're very excited about it. But I asked them, what would you like to see content on? And they told me. And that was really exciting. One thing was fasting. Because in India, I never thought of this. But in India, everyone fasts. They're Hindus, they're religious people, they fast. And Christians have some strange ideas about fasting from the Hindu culture. So it's a question that if you had a video about fasting and what is the significance of it, does it really help us get close to God? How do you do it? Then that'll appeal to Hindus because that's something they do anyways. And they would be very open to viewing a video about fasting. And it's a way to maybe connect them with Christ and teach them about Christ. And then it's also good for Christians too, because Christians have the same question. What is fasting? What is the significance of it? Is it a discipline that I should do? But they were able to tell me that. Another one I never would have thought about, but it makes perfect sense. They said, we would like to see a video on how to handle a breakup. When you're old and married, you don't think about these anymore, but this was important to them. How do I handle a breakup? Because they said it's a huge problem in India. Teenage boys will get in this serious relationship with a girl. Most of us have probably been there, and you break up, and your whole world is ruined. But what they'll do is they'll spiral out of control and get into alcohol and drugs and get in with bad influences. And they say, we really need some videos that tell teenage boys how to handle breakups better. Okay, that's good to know. So I jotted it down, and we'll have a video on that hopefully very soon. But by me going to Cambodia, I'll do the same thing, promote our work, get feedback on what kind of videos and content they would like to see. We also plan for me to go to Taiwan later this year. Taiwan is now opened up, and they are begging me to come and preach the gospel. The church is very weak in Taiwan, and they need people there preaching the gospel. But I'm going to go there just on a standard traditional mission trip where I'll do campaigning and gospel meetings, training local Christians. But also, I'll be working on this to find translators to be able to promote our content and make sure people are using it. All this slide does, you can have it, I'm leaving packets behind. I wanted to show you the power of using social media, the power of multiplication. Social media and digital networks. You think about a church in a place like Mongolia, very small circle of influence. But when you think about what they can do using all their friends on Facebook, a lot of people are on Facebook. And we can promote our content on Facebook. There are buttons on the Facebook where I just press boost this post. If I post an article, I just click boost this post, and I pay like $3, and now 1,000 more people will see that article. And you think in America, there's so much noise, that's not a big deal. But in a place like Mongolia, where they're scrolling through Facebook, most of the stuff they're seeing is in English, but then they see an ad in Mongolian, in their language. And it's about Jesus. They've always wondered about this Jesus guy. They don't know anything about him. I think we're going to get a lot of people to click on that article that's in their native language, whereas they've never seen anything like this before in Mongolian. The power of social media and search engines. Wanted to show you our long-term vision, thinking ahead. Logos Answers is our website for evangelism. We're going to develop content design for the lost, people that don't know Jesus, people that need to come to the faith. But down the road, we're thinking about other ways to do this. Fluent Bible Academy is an online site where it's basically a preacher school online. Think of World Video Bible School, where you'll have many different deep Bible lessons. This is for Christians, people who want to train to become preachers or teachers. They can't travel somewhere else. They can't afford to quit their job for 2 years. They're just going to go online for free and do deep Bible studies and learn how to become a preacher and an evangelist in their own native language. That's the vision. Another thing that we get a lot of feedback from people in the church, we want children's Bible classes translated. The ladies are starving for some children's Bible classes that are translated. And it's hard to imagine them doing this with paper. They don't have access to all the paper and all the printers that we have here. Sometimes we ship stuff over and they can use it. But if they could have something online, some videos or different tools online, they all have smartphones that they can share with their children in their own native language, it'll be a game changer. They don't have anything like that available today. And we want to help to make stuff like that available in other languages. You've helped to make this happen. You are fulfilling the Great Commission. You are doing your part by supporting us and other missionaries like Gary Jones and others that are boots on the ground. I want you to know that you have an important role of taking the gospel to places like China, India, Mongolia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. You are playing a part in taking the gospel to these places that you never would have dreamed about visiting in person. These are immediate needs. It costs about $100, I'm figuring, on average to translate an article. Some have been a lot cheaper based on volunteer work or whatnot. Some have been a lot more expensive, but this is just an average cost. It takes about $300 to translate a video. So if we got $100 additional support a month, we could translate one new article every month in that language. $300 a month, we could translate one new video in a new language every month. Think about it. Every single month, a new article or a new video is going out there. We want to hire a summer intern from one of the schools of preaching or Christian schools to be able to help us to develop content and coordinate all of our translations. Promoting Arabic content, this is a large effort. This would, in of itself, could be a whole entire mission work. We have contacts in Israel that translate for us, where a Christian brother has experience in digital marketing. And I'm working with him to be able to develop this content in Arabic. And he's worked with a Christian school that has done something similar in the past. He's going to help us translate the content, make it available in each of these Arabic-speaking countries. He has the know-how to help us to do that and to promote it in each of these countries. In a country like Egypt or Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of sensitivities and a lot of things we have to work around. He has the expertise to help us to do that, but it's going to be a big effort. And then we have our our trips that I mentioned to Cambodia and Taiwan. These are our immediate needs. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for all of your support. Our congregation that sponsors our work is Woodstock Church of Christ. If you were to write a physical check, you could write it out to Woodstock Church of Christ and mail it to them. If you've ever sent money to us in the past, I want to apologize because there may be like a 2-month delay sometimes before I know that you sent money. But we eventually send thank yous and let you know we're appreciative of that. Just know it doesn't go to us first. It goes to our bookkeeper in the church, and she records it, and eventually we're notified of that contribution. You can also make contributions on PayPal at illycrewmissions@gmail.com. You can send us emails if you have any questions or just want to send us encouragement. If you want to sign up, we send out monthly newsletters that many of you, I think, get. If you want to be added to that list, let me know, and we can make sure that you receive our information. But also, I want to make sure that you know this website, logosanswers.org. I want to make sure that if you are technologically capable and proficient, that you use it and you share it with your friends, and you go to YouTube and like us on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and do all of that good stuff to be able to promote this content. English is not our first priority, but we develop everything in English first before we translate it. And it's good stuff that we can use and help to spread the gospel even here in America. So I want to thank you for your time. I'll pass it off now, Stephen.